topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Who is January Jones? She is not a young, beautiful, talented actress on Mad Men. She is not an older, gorgeous, exotic dancer from the Johnny Carson Show. She is an author, and she wrote Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. She is a reality TV golf personality with World High Stakes Golf televised on HDNet. She is a humorist and winologist expert. She is your featured host today on January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and listen to Ms. Jones with her eclectic roster of guests as you learn life's lessons. These stories plus sharing equals success. Welcome, and remember, beware, because you are entering the no whining world of January Jones.
Hello, everyone. I'm January Jones, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast today. Now, for my listeners, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in a tsunami? Tell me, do you wish you could meet someone who has been through a tsunami and survived and lived to tell us about it? Can you imagine what it would be like to write a book called The Borrowed Daughter? Now, are you ready to hear an amazing story that will change your life? If you can answer yes or maybe to any of these questions, then you are in the right place, and I'd like to welcome you to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So now it's time to rest and relax. Go get yourself some cheese and crackers, maybe a glass of wine, as you enter the no wine zone with me. Now let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Pandemic, wildfire, tornado, earthquake, hurricane, tsunami. When it comes to inspiring fear, Mother Nature sure can dish it out. No one knows that better than our guest today, who nearly died in a tsunami that came out of nowhere and claimed the lives of her mother and her young daughter. In the 16 years since then, she has learned a lot about facing sudden, unexpected events and the fear they endanger. She can share lessons we need to learn as we face the continued disruption of our lives from COVID-19. She can inspire audience members to see the future and create the life they need to get there. She is the author of Borrowed Daughter. It is my pleasure to welcome to our podcast today, Sana Brauner from Germany. Hi, Sana. How are you today?
Hey, thanks. Hello, January. Yes, I'm connecting with you from Vienna, which is really very exciting to do this and to meet, people around the world and to share my story, and because it is something that is really special, because the word tsunami I was not familiar before with this word,
Yes. Well, before we get into the story of your survival of the tsunami, could you tell us a little bit about where your success story began, where you were born, a little bit about your early life and how you got started?
Yes. I was born in Serbia, so this is the former Yugoslavia, and my parents moved to Vienna when I was 2.5. So I grew up in Vienna, what is also my home city, my home country. and but I feel Serbian. It's a more like fiery country, and the temper of the people is like more so. But I grew up in Austria. Went here to school. I have a sister. She's 1 year older, 15 months. Yeah, and when I was 20, I started to work as I started to work at the magazine, but I was really very career orientated, very focused on so, and by 28, I became chief editor of a very big magazine. It was 1,300,000 samples we had. And I had a lot of responsibility, and I like to take responsibility. This is something. But then my mother was, always like pushing, like, hey, Sana, well, what's going to happen? It's like, where are the kids? And my sister had already 3 wonderful boys, and here I am. And then I was like this, on the, around 30, you kind of, I myself, just started asking, where I'm going, what else do I want to accomplish, and somehow, and then I felt like, well, it is time for family. And I became mother of a son, and 2.5 years later of a wonderful daughter. But I was still working. I was just, and I would say I was functioning, because I wanted to make everything perfect. I wanted just to be a perfect mother, a perfect businesswoman, a perfect wife, all, this kind of, and I was like on 100 and more, running, percent. And so, yeah.
Let me ask you, when you came to Vienna, did your mother and the rest of the family, did they stay in Serbia, or did they come to Vienna with you too?
No, the family, because I was 2.5 years old at that time. I was small. So
family. Okay.
Exactly. That's yeah.
And then what led up to your trip? That it was at Christmas time. Was it a Christmas holiday that the whole family took, or what were the circumstances that led you on this journey?
Yeah. It's Christmas is always a New Year, a time where we try to make break from our company. And because it was the time when we would, take 3 weeks at least, and it was possible somehow. And we would always go somewhere in the sun, because it's really winter in Vienna than here. It's cold, it's, and so we tried to go and it was mostly somewhere in Asia. And my husband, that time, he loved actually Thailand. It wasn't for the first time. We had north of Bangkok in Chiang Mai, we had a house in a place that was called Tao Garden. So we have been familiar with Thailand. It was like a wonderful kind of second home country we enjoyed every year. Yeah. And so, and with the children, we wanted, to go on the beach where it's just easy to relax.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, many times, well, not many times, but we have vacationed in Southeast Asia, and I know exactly what you mean about the wonderful beaches. And all the times that we were there, we would meet many people who would be coming from Germany and Austria and that part of the world, because as you said, your winters are extremely cold and everyone wanted to get away and get into the sun. Now, where was the resort that you went? Did you go to a resort, or how did the vacation unfold?
Yeah, we chose actually Khao Lak because a family friend of us, he likes to go in the national park and to drive around and to meet. So Khao Lak was a kind of a new place in Thailand. It was not that, it was new in a way of developing, this area. So, and it was really wonderful beaches, and the place we stayed was a beautiful hotel, but had a lot of, it was like channels. The pool was made out of channels, like, and you had bridges and somehow, and it was that time the largest swimming pool in Asia. It was kind of a nice, and we just, yeah, that's perfect with the children, to have fun and to, enjoy and just, be together, join time together. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. We were in Thailand, and it was just an incredible experience. The Thai people were so welcoming and so lovely. Actually, we were there, I think a year or two before you were there when you had this tsunami hit you, because I remember when that hit, and everyone in the world, of course, was talking about it. And we had looked at the map, and we realized that we had been quite near where it actually happened for you, which was chilling for us. But imagine what it was like for you. How long were you there before the actual tsunami arrived?
We came almost a week before we arrived, because the tsunami was on the 22nd, and we arrived already a week. And so the people are very nice with children down over there. They like children. And so our, especially our daughter was like, she was very open, and they would, come. So we have been already connecting with the staff and just enjoyed, the whole time there, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wonderful. Before we go on with your amazing story, we're going to take a little break and hear about my book, Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment. And it's for anyone who knows someone who whines.
Lately, there's a whining epidemic in our world. People are even whining about whining. Are you sick and tired of listening to everyone whining all the time? So was January Jones, the author of Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. Ms. Jones based her book on a survey of the top 10 things that people whine about at all ages and all stages of life. January is a success coach that can tell you how to help others. When you buy Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, you'll find out what people whine about and how to stop them from whining. This is the perfect gift book to give or get for any occasion. Thou Shalt Not Whine was voted the best gift to be given anonymously for those special people in your life. Ms. Jones is an internationally known author in the style of Irma Bombeck, specializing in housewife humor, with her book being published in Korea and China. You can find Thou Shalt Not Whine at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to the No Wine Zone with my guest, Sana Brauner. She is definitely not a whiner. Now, Sana, before we begin, could you share a little bit of your contact information with our listeners and tell them about your book and where they can get it?
Yeah, the title of the book is The Borrowed Daughter. And you can get it actually online on Amazon, but you can get it in every library, bookstore. And just, I'm the author, Sana Brauner, it's name. I have also a website where you can kind of, get to be a little bit familiar with my thoughts, with my thinking, about life, about being a human, about life crisis.
Wonderful. And that information is below on the screen. So anyone who is interested, copy that down and go and get the book. Do you have a website now, Sana?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share that with us?
I have www with my name, sanabrauner.com.
Okay. And spell your last name for our listeners.
Brauner.
Wonderful. Thank you. So now let's talk about you went on your holiday, the Christmas holiday, and you went to Thailand. And who all was in your party? Who traveled with you?
We have been first, like the really close one, like was 7 of us. It's my the family, Helmut, my husband, then our children, Alexander, that's the son, he was almost 6 at the time, and Alexandra Nita, 2.5. And then my sister with her son, who was 9, and my mom.
Okay. So how did the day that the tsunami hit, how did that day start for you?
It started like in the morning when you would it's coming, it's like a sunny day again, and we go for breakfast and we just chat there and enjoy, and then we just decide who is going to do what, So, and my sister said, okay, I will be with mom here and at the beach, and Alexandra Anita, my little one, and then I decided I have to take something from the room, and Helmut, was already gone at the room to get, some more stuff to play with the kids and so. And the two boys have been playing in front of the room on an island, who had a slide. So it was a very alive, hotel somehow in the city. Mm-hmm. And then, it was around like 10:30, when actually, the life just changed. Because
did you have a warning that it was coming? How did it arrive?
No. There was just nothing of a warning, just nothing. And people would say, you would have maybe animals go back or something. There was, you are in a touristy area at the beach, at the hotel in front of you, and I was not aware of what you could see later on many videos and pictures, that the sea would go back a lot, because I went inside the hotel to the room to get stuff. So when it happened, I went on the balcony, on the terrace of the room, to tell Helmut, who was outside, and the boys, hey, let's get our stuff. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, water. It's just you. There is no more thinking. It just appears in front of you, and there is this little bit of second. What is this? And then it's roaming the room, and it just break all the walls. I was underwater when I was already out of the room, out of the I came up out of the water, and it took me a long time to stay there. I was like in a washing machine, trying all what you can do, just, because you stop thinking, you're just at the moment and try, to somehow, but you see like you are just turning. There is no way, whatever you do, there is no up, there is no down, there is no left or right. And there was a point when I just could not anymore. And I was like, well, that's the moment when you leave from this earth, And the thing is, like, everything around me became so quiet and so peaceful. And I was in another room, and then I hear a voice, and it's Sana's voice asking Sana, do you want to live?
Oh my gosh. At that point, did you think you had died?
Well, it was a very short, near-death experience, because I could see that I got information downloaded somehow, because when I said, and it came out of me, and it was like me observing everything, and I said, yes. And then I just suddenly, pressed again the button, and I was around again in this noise and the alarm and being in the washing machine and this and this and this. And, when I finally came up and took my first breath, I look around, And I'm like, this is the end of the world. Something, it can't be, because for me, it's like, water, the hotel was almost underwater. I looked in front, and I had been half a mile away from the hotel. I've been towards the forest, holding on the mirror of a van, of a car who was driving, because I needed some kind of, and I was like, and I heard my lungs were been hurting, and I had lots of water inside and dust and everything, But, that time you just, kind of stand and find then the wind disappears, I have to let go again, everything, and I'm heading towards the forest, all these trees, and I'm like, oh my God, what's that? And suddenly the water comes back and brings me, the whole wave comes back and brings me again towards the other side. And so I'm like looking around, what can I do? And the funny thing is, it was so silent. And I was like, the whole world died. What happened? It was just this water moving and nothing else, And then I saw a tree, and I kind of like, okay, I'm not, I'm a tree, and it was everything around, the tree. It was like refrigerators, beds, whatever, we would have in this, and I just hold on one of these, things, and climbed one after the other of, whatever I could grab, to come to more up and towards the tree that I come, and then I could like stand, you crawl, you stand, you want to do, and then for a while, you just watch what's going next, what to do next, And then, I will have to make it short, because it was really a time where you're so present. You're not in the future, you're not in the past, you are right now, right here. Every breath counts, every moment, is like, and so I'm heading towards, kind of like, okay, try, to go a little bit more, because the water calmed down, and I could swim, towards the reception to find anybody else, somehow. And then I see.
At that point, did you have any awareness of where your family members, where they might have been? Could you see or hear them call, or
no?
You were just completely alone.
Totally alone. But after kind of going to the last floor of this hotel, what would stand, I came out. There have been really special, very touching situations, during the whole, lots of time, because we stayed there for a while. I came out of the water, making steps to go, where I could see some people holding on the roof, and sitting there, trying, to escape from this. And I came up the stairs, and I'm totally naked, and there is a Thai guy who already tried somehow, to help or whatever, and he takes off his wet shirt and hands it to me, Mm-hmm. And then I go there, and everything was slippery, mud, glass, everything you would not, know where to, step. You had to really watch, somehow. And then, far away, I see my sister, on this level.
Okay.
And then I shout, and she looks at me, and then she turns to another way, and then she shouts, "Sana is here," So I was knowing she found somebody, and then we meet, and then she says, "Yeah, Helmut and the boys are there," And so, well, at the end of the day, my mom and the little one have not been with us anymore. Mm-hmm. When I was on the tree, holding on, mm-hmm. I could hear a voice, saying, like, your mom just took this as a possibility to go, to choose. Oh. And the little one, it's going to be taken care of.
And this voice just came to you.
Yes. And this is something, what is the main topic in the book, about the whole message I would like to give is we easily forget that we are not really this body, that we are energy. And there is a part of us we should include in our life, and this is the spiritual part. We tend to forget that this is the one we can hold on and count on when you have nothing to hold on in the material world.
Wow. You know, we're going to take a break now. And when we come back, we're going to hear about the aftermath of once you had realized you had survived the tsunami and how you got together back with some of your family, not all of your family. So now we're going to hear about who killed Kennedy. Who do you think had the money, the motive, and the means?
Let me ask you a question. Are you still wondering who killed Kennedy? Over 50 years later, the assassination is still a mystery. It is unfinished business for our country. Now, get ready for a theory that you've never heard before, but will make more sense than any other conspiracy theory that you've ever heard in the past. January Jones speaks the unspeakable in her book, Jackie, Ari, and Jack, The Tragic Love Triangle, connecting Jackie and Aristotle Onassis romantically prior to JFK's assassination. Did you know that Ari was Jackie's guest in the White House during the JFK funeral? He was the only non-family member who was invited by Jackie to stay there during the funeral. Aristotle Onassis was one of the wealthiest men in the world, with the means, the motive, and the money to order an assassination that was the perfect crime of the last century. Ari needed class, and Jackie needed cash. They were perfect for each other. Now, what is Camelot? It is but another tragic love triangle. Jackie, Ari, and Jack is available at JanuaryJones.com, Amazon.com, and audiobooks.com, read by Ms. Jones.
Welcome back. We're back with you sharing Sana Brauner's survival story. Sana, so the tsunami has hit. You now realize that your sister is alive, and you get a message about your mother. What happened next?
Will be, as I was kind of as a mother, you have this feeling that the little one is still alive, somehow. And so we took, we have been there still a week, we didn't, because we got lots of messages also we have been researching, we made a poster of her, we put it everywhere and somehow, and we didn't want, to fly straight away back because it didn't make sense for us, and because at that time you want to do everything, everything in your what is possible, so that you don't regret, any possibility to because there have been, just imagine, driving the situation there, very, very hot, very, very hot. Everything is chaos, People want to go home, how to come home. You have, collecting, everywhere dead bodies, they started to make pictures of, the face of dead people, of the bodies, and sometimes, you don't want to look at it, and then it feels like, I have to face this, and I have to watch, and I have to, do and make everything, because, and the thing is,
how long was it before you found your husband?
Oh, we found actually. Oh, that night, we found in the afternoon already. Some hours later, we came together and we spent the night in the mountains. So it's Helmut, my husband, and my sister's son and myself, and my sister have been taken to a hospital, which people, took care, somehow, because I kind of organized. It would be really very long, to express. I made it very detailed in my book because writing the book was for me how to process the things, because writing was familiar with me, and on the other side, um, it was for me to give the whole story a meaning. So
Yes.
coming back, the night we spent in the mountains, because everybody is saying, okay, the water is going to come again, not again, and da da da. And then the next day, we go and try to find my sister, who is in the hospital. And then, then we wanted to come back to the hotel. And when I came back, what we tried, because we wanted to see, is still somebody, could they find somebody? Is there somebody? But they, on the halfway to the hotel from the hospital, so what would be half an hour drive, and you had just to find somebody who would drive it, because there was not like anymore like a wonderful street or something like this. Everything was destroyed, and so halfway we have to go back. We could not go any further. But in the meantime, when I come back, I can't find my sister anymore. I'm like, what's happening here? And then I'm like, okay, where was she? She was in this floor and she was outside. The rooms have been full. In front of the hospital, they made a lazarette, tents with people laying down and doctors over there everywhere. So it was like, it was not just you have a hospital. It was like it was a village around the hospital, people came to help who have not been involved, to bring food, to bring clothes, everything. So, and then I go to the place where I've been meeting my sister, and then it says on the wall, she had made a note, and it says, I flew back with the boys to Switzerland, because she was living that time in Switzerland.
Okay.
And so she flew back. What was really, I was glad, they could, go out of this crazy world,
Yeah.
And we decided we just have to stay and to watch and to see and to look, But at some point, a week later, we just decided, we have to go fly back and then see and come again back. And so
during this week that your sister left with the boys, flew to Switzerland, you were there for a week. Where did you sleep? Where did you eat? How did the Red Cross come? Who came? How did they take care of all those people?
You had to make yourself responsible for how to find. You could go. They at the city hall, in front of the city hall of Phuket, they made the embassies, kind of made offices for the people, so they could go, and each nationality, you would find their embassy, and then we would help them to get a flight, and go back. And so somehow, and they had also to trust, that these identities are who they are, because they had no ID. My sister had no more passport, My son had no passport, no more. So there was a big possibility also for people who have been on a little bit different side, some kind of crime, to find a new identity and to do things.
Right.
That's what we got, information later on a lot, because we stayed.
At what point did you realize that your mother and your daughter had not survived? How long did it take before that realization set in?
Well, we went back like 3 times again.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And like half a year later, I knew I have to kind of just accept the situation.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So you went back to Vienna, and then you flew back 3 times to look for them, hoping against hope that maybe they had survived and were somewhere in Thailand that you didn't know about, right?
Not about my mother, because she was an adult, but the little one is just small. My mother would have be able to to speak, with people and tell her name or whatever. And
Yeah.
but a little child with 2.5 years does
No.
not know to say this. Yeah.
No. Oh my gosh, what a horrible experience to go through. And so after 6 months, you were able to finally accept it. I'm sure you never will make peace with it, but
Yeah.
but
Yes.
you
You
were
just.
able to accept it. Yeah.
Yes. That's what it is. You have to say, okay, I accept it right now, not internal, because you at that moment, you are a being of pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even knowing, this is even knowing, because I really connected, and that's what the book is about. I call it my father, but for me, it's a higher power who is always taking care of me. And I was, from the moment it happened and I came out of the water, I was a living prayer. I accept, I surrender, I ask for help, I thank for help. I was just a walking, prayer. It was just all the time, internal and me, just because I needed so much help, and I got, help. We got guided, somehow from one step to the other, what to do, how to do, and you are still in pain as a human being. And yet there is something what gives you kind of loving support, loving support. It guides you, it carries you through the day, somehow. Because when you go, to sleep,
Yeah.
and then you wake up, you're just like, where am I? What kind of world this is? Where is, if the little one is alive, where is she? With whom is she? What is happening to her? What is you wake up with this. It's not like, okay, it's another normal day. It's not.
For my listeners, meeting Sana is meeting someone who will be very unforgettable in our lives. And we're going to take a break here because I have written about and shared some other unforgettable people in my lives. These are priceless personalities that I'm happy to share with you. Have you ever met someone who was unforgettable? Someone who has touched your heart and soul? People who have faced difficult problems? People who have struggled to find solutions? People who fearlessly shared their stories? People who have not only informed you, but inspired you. People who have priceless personalities. I have been fortunate to host an internet radio talk show called January Jones Sharing Success Stories, and it has been my privilege to interview hundreds of guests. My guests have shared their stories, their struggles, their secrets, and their successes in their own words. In this book, we're talking about people dealing with problems such as incest, molestation, runaway kids, child abuse, drug abuse, polygamy, unemployment, scandal, and starting over. Then there are my guests dealing with difficult physical struggles such as blindness, cancer, and birth defects that are beyond traumatic. My guests have all been exciting, eclectic, and energizing. They have amazed, amused, and even astonished me. I have adored getting to meet them, and I adore sharing them with you.
Attention all listeners. Priceless Personalities, Success Stories Shared by January Jones, Volume 2 is now available at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle editions. You'll be able to meet 10 amazing people who will be sharing their own personal stories with all their struggles, successes, and solutions, sprinkled with lots of humor and hope. Priceless Personalities features a teenager who becomes one of the famous Supremes from Motown. A nurse who, as a humorist, helps people Able to Heal, an inspiring laughter yoga instructor, a mother dealing with the loss of a child, an incredible motivational speaker, a woman who married 5 times, a gifted paranormal nurse, a wise economist, a funny female humorist, along with an older man sharing his sweet childhood in the Deep South. January's guests are all amazing and amusing. You will never forget meeting them. Go to Amazon.com for your own priceless experience.
Welcome back with another unforgettable, priceless personality visiting with us today, Sana Brauner, who is visiting from Vienna. Now, Sana, it was amazing that you were able to find your husband and that you were able to go through this experience with him. When did you decide to write the book, and how long did it take you to write the book? It must have been an extremely painful thing to do.
Yeah, it was everything, it was painful, it was peaceful, it was kind of joyful, it was creative, it was because you go through everything, as a human being at that time. It's like, it was like maybe, the thing is like we stopped, I stopped to do my work, what I did, because I knew if I had to experience something like this, and myself believed always I'm the creator of the life, I would never allow to myself to think being the victim. Also at that point, not, even it was so painful, but I was not like, no, it would be a lie just because it's now so painful and uncomfortable to say, oh, yeah, poor me, There is a part, who was knowing, and this is what I would tell everybody who goes through life crisis. You have to take time, it's not possible that you just, and the tsunami can be for another person a divorce, a sickness, losing, whatever. It's also just their tsunami, and but the point is what I do with this, how can I grow and give this a meaning, because I wanted, not like, my mom is gone, my little one is gone, and so I wanted, also to kind of, I don't know if this is the right word in English, but just to give a gift, to the world, like, it didn't happen for nothing, I got to learn his huge lesson I want to share, to be, and this was the motivation, to write the book. It was one thing for me to process it, and I started 1.5 years after the tsunami, when I could have a little bit of a distance, but knowing that this is not done, in my life. It's just like started, to realize, what really happened, and that this is going to be a part of me the whole of the life. That's our stories. That's who we are. That's what makes us, who we are at the end, And it took me long.
In this day and age, so many people are suffering from post-traumatic stress. And this can come from experiences like yours caused by Mother Nature. It also comes from the experience of war, combat. Many men and women who have served in the military come back horribly damaged by their experience, and their recuperation, it takes many, many years. And in some cases, some people never recuperate from it at all. But I think that you're being able to sit down and write about it. I think that must have been a very positive, helpful thing to do, to kind of work your way through it, and to, I know you can't make any meaning out of something like this, but you can find some things that'll help you to survive. And you, what do you mean when you talk about the birth letter that you wrote? Tell us about that.
Yes, the birth ladder is for me as a soul. We or let's say as an energy. As an energy. It's like the soul never dies. This is my belief. So it just transcends. And kind of makes the journey goes. And so for me, it's like when we enter this planet, to decide to go and experience humanity, we come with a birth letter, but we just don't know what's inside. And so if we connect again, to this part of us who made these decisions, because every, birth letter, I would say, is unique because we are unique. We have unique talents. We decide to make this experience. So, my belief is, and I'm really like, we write it, what we want to experience. And then we forget because then we come here. And then, it's kind of why I feel like we should, always remind ourselves that there is a part of us who knows exactly, what we decided once, and then I think then we can carry, when we connect again, what happens, and, make this life, something what feels like, yes, life is good.
Yeah, no, wow. That's quite an evolution to go from the lowest point and then to rise up from this, literally rising up from the ashes and the tsunami. Were you always a spiritual person, or did this experience help you attain spirituality?
Being a spiritual person, I would say I was just born like this. Also as a kid, I could I looked around and I felt like, can't be, watching my parents, watching the neighbors, watching everybody, they save, buy a car, build a house, just get older, sick and die. And I'm like, is this life? I'm like, doesn't feel for me like, somehow. So there was always a part of me who was, even a small kid, questioning. But at the point that you can, connect in when it really counts to connect, I feel, and I would all like to tell people, it's a training, being spiritual.
Wow. This is such an amazing story that you're sharing with us. And I have to thank you for doing it, because I know it probably is not an easy thing to revisit, but you are so sweet to do this with us. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast today and talking to us about your experience. Now, in closing, I'd like to thank you again, Sana, and also for our listeners, go to her website and do get her book, because her book will be a whole new revelation to you about survival. Now, to my dear listeners, I've enjoyed our time together today. We've tried to be informative and inspiring, and Sana certainly has inspired us. My upcoming guests will all be energizing, eclectic, and exciting. Next Tuesday, live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm looking forward to welcoming another guest who will share her success story, Margot Lenmark. Be sure to sign on to my website, januaryjones.com. Now, my 79-year-old thought for the day. I'm not saying that I'm old or worn out, but I really do make sure that I'm never near the curb on trash day. So for now, dear friends, thank you for entering the No Whine Zone with us. And please share our stories and our show with everyone you know. And remember to stop whining and start smiling. And if that doesn't work, then you can start eating chocolate. Lots and lots of chocolate. Dear Sana, it's been wonderful sharing you with my audience today. Now, everyone, take care, stay safe until we meet again.
We want to thank you for listening to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Always remember Ms. Jones' personal mantra, if you can think it, you can do it. That's what all of our guests have done with their lives, and so can you. You are the ultimate success coach in your own life. All you need to do will be to start sharing your own story with your family and friends. We hope that our guest stories will encourage you to explore an equation in your future that will combine your creativity plus connecting with others will enable you to be successful too. Always remember, your passion plus your purpose will equal prosperity as you explore the wonderful world of January Jones.